So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about just cochlear implants in general. I know when I was contemplating whether or not I should be doing it, I had a whole heap of questions, and I think all I really wanted was somebody to come out and say yes, do it or don't do it. Um, so in part of the research that I was doing, um, I discovered that amongst the deaf community itself, um, there is certainly a percentage there where they don't look upon cochlear implants favourably, which I thought was really quite surprising at the time. But thinking about it now, I mean, I can fully understand where they are coming from. Um, Look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, you've got to. I don't think there's a right or wrong in regards to whether or not you should go through with a procedure or not. It all comes down to um, you know what your current state of mind, what your current state of emotions are at the time. I don't know that with me personally, I was feeling that um, I was very frustrated at what I was missing. Um, and I know that there would have always been that doubt in my mind had I not done it, that I should have, um, even leading up to when I had been approved for the surgery. I always had this thing in my mind that perhaps I had left it too long and I should have done something earlier. Um, but like I mean, it's not for everyone. Things do sound different, um, and I think it depends upon your expectations as to what you hope to get from it. I was very realistic. I knew that there was, a very good possibility that, I may never be able to understand speech from the implant. That I may only be able to detect environmental sounds. Um, all that I may only, forever be able to detect the sensation of the sound without actually hearing the sound itself. So, I was at a point that I thought, well, I've had nothing in that ear for such a long time that anything I get is going to be a bonus. And the biggest concern that I had was that, as part of the procedure, there may be some, you know, side effects or symptoms that I didn't have before, such as tinnitus and dizziness and that sort of thing. But, um, I mean, it was a risk, but, uh, you know, for me, it was a worthwhile risk to taste because getting anything from that ear was going to be better than what I'd had for majority of my life. So, um, and I also know that it's not the type of thing which is going to happen overnight. You see these videos of people having their switch on and you know how wonderful it is that they can hear and recognize voices and all that. I don't know how realistic that is, to be honest. I mean, based upon my experience. Um, so it's not all like that. There is a lot of work that you've got to put into it, and you've got to be prepared um, to go a very long time where things sound quite strange. Things sound very alien, and I don't mean alien as in you know listening to some alien creature from a Star Wars movie. I'm talking about knowing what you're supposed to be hearing and not being able to match up what you're actually hearing to what you think you're supposed to be hearing. So it's quite a strange experience. Um, Even now, um, when I listen to people speaking, um, to me it sounds like everyone's voice is about 3 or 4 octaves higher than it should be, um, which is a bit funny sometimes. Especially if somebody's trying to tell me something serious, and they sound like they've just sucked on a massive balloon of helium. It can be sometimes a little bit hard to keep a straight face when I'm supposed to be, um, but yeah, look, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think you know you need to try to get as much information as you possibly can. It's got to be the right decision for you, and you've got to be prepared that there is some risk involved with any sort of procedure. There is risk involved, definitely, and there is certainly a lot of hard work to put into it. Um, Keep in mind that having a cochlear implant doesn't make you not deaf. If I take my sound processor off, I'm just as deaf in my left ear as I've been for such a long time. Um, it's a tool. It is definitely a tool. It's not a cure. Um, and you've just got to be realistic about that. Don't be scared to get as much advice, ask as many questions as you want. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there. I'm on two of them. Um, if anyone wants to ask me a question, if you're unsure, if you want my thoughts or whatever, I'm always happy to help. Um, but definitely get as much advice as you possibly can. At the end of the day, the final decision's got to come down to you. If you feel that it's the right thing for you, and if you feel that you really need to take that step, my advice would be go for it. I definitely did, and I haven't looked back ever since. Hopefully, this advice has been helpful. Catch you next time.